Today we're going to be working on coordinates. We're going to learn about ways to turn on and off the LEDs on our microbit. We're going to look at a few example programs. First, a very simple smile, then an animation example of a different way to do that simple smile. Three really quick ideas for why this coordinate system, being able to manipulate it, is so interesting. And then a video game movement system. Just one way you could do it. Let's get started. Right here, I've got something that I'm sure all of you would be familiar with. I've got a very simple animation here of a smiley face that's going to a neutral face. It's repeating back and forth. We've used these show LED blocks before. Let's look at a slightly different way of doing that. All right. If we remember back to the last one, these were the LEDs that were the same. These LEDs never changed between the two. The only thing that changed was this LED and this LED and these two over here. So what I've done is I've created a very similar version of it, and I'm using these plots. These plots are able to be gotten from LED, and we can drag out a plot. And so these plots don't need to change, so I'm just going to leave them in there. Then in the forever loop, I can throw in some of these plots with a pause, and we'll see that nothing happens because 2, 3, go over 2, down 3 is already lit. I need to light up 0, 3. Tip, you can hover over and it will tell you. All right, so I want to do 0, 3. Let's see. All right, that LED is now showing. And the other one I want to show is 4, 3. All right, we now have that face plotted, but we need to then make these turn on. And to turn those on, I need to enter 0, 2, and then the corresponding 4, 2. All right, but I haven't quite reached that same animation because what I'm missing is the unplot. So if I drag these out, throw a couple unplots, I want these unplots to undo what was up here. So I'm going to undo this one right here. And I'm going to undo this one, 4, 3. And now these two are strobing. Well, it's because these are still left on. Let's move those up and make some more things to unplot. I need to undo these. 0, 2, and 4, 2. All right, that's going a bit fast for me. Turn it down. We can see I'm getting there. Throw another pause in. And I have an animation. The only thing that are being changing are these two. All right, another way this could be done is using the toggles. And we're going to look at those in a moment. Let's go look at some examples that I whipped up. I have 3 examples here. Feel free to build them or not. That's okay. All right, so in this example, I have a toggle. This is what I was talking about before. A toggle will say, hey, whatever's at this location... Let's get rid of that. Whatever at this location, 0, 0, turn it on or turn it off. Let's throw a pause in there to make this a bit more clear. It turns it on, and then it comes back to it and says, oh, it's on, turn it off. Whatever it is, do the opposite of that. So let's throw back in my random numbers. Now, the lowest number that for the X location is 0 and the biggest is 4. So I went over to math and grabbed pick random number, did change it up a little bit. I'm going to put in a slight pause, slow down the animation a little bit. And it's randomly picking a number 0 to 4 for the x and 0 to 4 for the y. And if there's nothing there, it's going to turn it on. And if there is something there, it's going to turn it off. I think that's a pretty neat effect, especially if it's fully sped up. Let's try another one. This, I was going for a rain effect. So I wanted something, an LED, to randomly pick a row, and then have that LED fall down to the bottom. Let's take a look how I did that. So I have right here x set to be a random number, 0 to 4. X is a variable which I'm going to use to decide which column is going to start in. Is it starting in this column, this column, this column, this column, this column? Then I have a for loop. Remember, for loops are great at counting up. Well, the lower we go down this list, the higher the number. So it will start at 0. So it'll say whatever it randomly chose here, say perhaps 1. Plot at x, which is 1, and y, which at the beginning of the loop is 0. And then wait a moment, undo it, come back up. All right, index is now 1, plot at 1, 1, unplot at 1, 1, come back up. Plot at 2, 1, 2, unplot 1, 2. And I'll do that 1 to 4, causing it to fall down. If I get rid of that x, it's just going to go down that first column there. And that's kind of boring, which is why I threw in a random place for it to start. Example we're going to look at is beating heart animation. I'm going to drag it out, and this is super neat. This requires a block I haven't shown you how to use yet, and that is found under LEDs, more, brightness. So we can set how bright our LEDs are going to be. Now I'm using a variable here because I want my brightness to change. That is a great use for a variable. And I'm also using a while loop. So brightness starts off as being value of 0. So while 0 is less than 254, change brightness by 20. Then set the value of the LEDs to that brightness, and then pause for a moment. And it's going to come back around. So first time through, 0, less than 254, great. Brightness set to 0, or set to 20, come back around. Second time is 20 less than 254, yep. It's now, brightness now holds 40, brightness is now 40, wait, come back around. And it's going to do that until it goes over 254. Then it's going to pop down here, and it's going to say, hey, is whatever is higher than 254 greater than 1? Yep. Set your brightness to that, and then subtract 20 from it, and this will repeat. And when this is all done, the forever loop will come back over and get us going again. This is super cool because we are able to affect how bright these LEDs are and create a pulsing to them, at kind of like a heartbeat. You could speed it up by changing how quickly they're changing. You can make sure they don't go full bright or full dark. It's important to know that the value of brightness can be anywhere from 0 to 255. We can see that by pulling that out and say 0 to 255. So that's what I use to inform my while loops. All right, let's look at our final example. And this is a example movement game, and I'm going to be building this along with you so I can talk you through what I'm thinking about as I'm building it. As we know that these variable, or the coordinate system has an x and a y. We also know that we can hold that value of the x and y in a variable. Wouldn't it be cool if I had this LED on if I just needed to move it up 1 and it would look like that LED was moving? Well, what changes when I go from the middle position of 2, 2 to the one above it? And in fact, it only changes to 2, 1. It's not lighting up. If we move up again, it goes to 2, 0. The only thing that's changing is one of the variables. And we know how to change variables. So I pulled out some event handlers here for tilt left, logo down, logo up, tilt right. And I've got them kind of spread out this way for a reason. We'll see that as we build. I need to pull out two variables. I need an X and a Y. I'm going to use my X to keep track of where my LED is left to right, and my Y to keep track of where it is up to down. I'm going to give them a starting spot, the middle, because I know this middle is 2, 2. And I'm going to turn on an LED which will let me know where I am. Alright, now, this is going to plot at 0, 0, because I need to put my variables in. I'm going to be careful to put my X in the X and my Y in the Y. For this first part, it won't matter, but later on, that's going to cause some weird things. Alright, so I've got an LED here, and I want it to appear to move. I want it to go to, instead of 2, 2, to say 2, 1. Well, on logo down, I could just do a little bit of math that makes that happen. I could do variable, change, and up and down is Y. And if I move up, it goes negative, so change Y by -1. And LED, let's duplicate this. Plot X and Y. Alright, let's try it. Logo down. The LED appears to move. But it's leaving a trail behind it. I don't like that. It's neat, but not my cup of tea. I'm going to just move that over there. I'm going to grab an unplot. I want unplot up there. I want the first thing my program to do when I move is to get rid of the old LED. And then the second thing it does is change where the new LED is going to go. Third thing, it's going to do it. All right, let's see. It appears to move by looking up. If I forget to replot it, it'll just disappear. All right, so I've got logo down. I need to do a turn left or move left. But this time I don't want to change my Y because left is x-axis and moving to the left is less. So I'm going to do X and -1. Up works. Left works. Pretty neat. I am going to repeat this for the other ones and make sure that I choose the appropriate variable to change and in the right direction. If you have your LED moving in the wrong spot, that's okay. Just figure out which direction you told it to go and then change it to the direction it should go. And this should work real nicely. All right, let's give it a test. Excellent, I can move around. All right, so that's neat. I just want to give you one example of a case this might be used for. And this is a great chance for a either a while or an if statement. So I'm going to go and grab an if. And there's one more thing we can do with these LEDs is check to see if they're on or off. Because yes, we could unplot them and plot them, but how do we know if it's on? And it turns out if you grab a if statement and you put a point in there and we fill it with the things we care about, the X and the Y, if that LED is on, this will return true. If that LED is not on, it will return false. I'm just going to go down to game down here and grab game over, because that is a fun little animation that we'll play. Now, what have I done here? Can you figure it out? Because I just made an excellent mistake. My mistake is I've been putting X's and Y's into all of those spots. But if I put X and Y here, if the LED is on, which I tell it to be on, it's automatically going to lose the game. So let's get rid of those. Let's try again. Alright, now there's no instant fail. I move around. And this if statement saying, hey, is the LED at 0, 0 on? Is it right here on? The answer is no. It lets me keep going. But if I navigate over to the top right corner, that suddenly becomes true, and the game over animation will play. So we can use if statements to figure out where a player is, we can move a player around, and we can give some neat interactivity. I hope you learned a bit about how to use LEDs. We talked about how to turn them on and off. We looked at a bunch of examples, and then we went through an interesting way to do some video game movement.